The MrBeast train has no brakes in all the worst ways possible. It's out of control and off the rails, tumbling down a hill in a collision course with 5 different kindergartens.
The MrBeast allegations keep getting worse and there doesn't seem to be an end. So we're just gonna go over everything that's gone down in the past 2 weeks since my last video, including some very serious new allegations regarding Feastables. So last time
Ooh, I have not heard about any of this probably.
everyone was concerned with the allegation that MrBeast hired a registered offender nicknamed Delaware as a contestant in his video, victim aged
Great things, MrBeast.
11, which is horrible. Since then, Jake the Viking confirmed in a tweet that Delaware is indeed his brother-in-law and a registered offender and was part of the MrBeast video, and claims that Jimmy and his mom also knew about this and allowed it to happen. Now, if you thought that that was the only criminal that Jimmy was associated with, Rosanna Pansino tweeted out, "I've received confirmation from 5 verified contestants that for the first round of Beast Games, a man named Armani was allowed to compete. He was previously charged with at least 20 counts for battery, kidnapping, pandering or pimping, and robbery. He pled guilty to..."
Okay, robbery and all of that is okay, but kidnapping? Wow.
To the pimping charge, acknowledging the significant evidence against him. He allegedly also slept near female contestants before being kicked off set for inappropriate behavior. Some of the female contestants
At this point, I'm honestly surprised that they at least kick him off the set.
confirmed being very uncomfortable around him. He's also friends with Jake Paul and other influencers.
Obviously. Birds of a feather stick together.
Why was there not adequate background checks to catch people like this? And there's
I'm gonna just randomly assume there was. They knew, and they did not care. The same way that that Delaware guy.
a picture of Armani. Yikes, I don't think they took time for background checks. Good lord, my god, MrBeast, what else are you hiding? Now, obviously, this is really concerning if it is true, because you can't have criminals of this degree participating in your challenges, especially allowing them to sleep
MrBeast thinks otherwise.
near female contestants when they might be uncomfortable. That is obviously a recipe for disaster, and Jimmy needs to conduct better background checks to avoid situations like this. Now, Rosanna follows up by saying he has changed his appearance since being in jail. Contestants said they believe he was in the green team in the group challenge. Multiple people have told me he allegedly received a lot of camera time and was to be part of the story. Here we got the alleged change in appearance. I mean, at this point, Jimmy has to respond to this. That is allegedly 2 criminals that we now know of. I mean, there's plenty of people who would take part in a MrBeast video gladly with great personalities. I don't know why they feel the need to scoop the bottom of the barrel with contestants and settle for actual criminals. That is just insane to me. Now,
That is also hilarious.
Rosanna also says in this tweet that they're basically messing with the outcomes of the Beast Games rounds. I've received confirmation from at least 10 Beast Games contestants that production has been calling some people this week and telling them they are now kicked off the show and no longer allowed to compete. This appears to be a fairly large amount of people. These are people who made it to the next round of Beast Games and were set to fly to the next shoot in Canada. I'm waiting for additional confirmation, but it appears that production is allegedly also calling people who were eliminated in the first round and inviting them back onto the show. Production has so far refused.
Okay, so this is something that I assumed obviously was happening because, again, even before all of this started, it was, I thought at least it was not common knowledge that MrBeast videos are fake and, you know, things are reshot, redone to get the most interesting outcome. So this doesn't surprise me at all.
Used to give a reason, but the most common theory I'm hearing is that it was because of psych evaluation given to contestants after the first round. In my opinion, they either did a psych evaluation of contestants too late, or they're playing favoritism with specific contestants. Either way, it is really concerning. Now, some people are saying this could be favoritism, or maybe they're just kicking out cheaters and giving back chances to people who got cheated out of a win. Honestly, personally, I feel like changing results after the fact is always lame, and it should be monitored in real time so people know exactly what happened and it's more fair. You guys can form your own opinion regarding that. Now, Rosanna also made a very concerning tweet. I've heard rumors from people working close with MrBeast that he's hiring
Man, she pissed that she didn't get to win that show she was in. Probably is, seriously. She probably is really pissed.
Eyes to investigate those speaking up against him. Thank you to the people who reached out to warn me and others. I now have confirmation from several people that individuals are indeed being offered money to fabricate stories about me and others. I have identified some of these people already. They began harassing my friends as of last weekend. I'm keeping all of the receipts. Okay, obviously, if that's true, that is really concerning.
If this is true, that's the stupidest thing MrBeast could ever do. Because the thing is like this. MrBeast hires private investigators to look into people and find dirt on them. And, you know, if he gets desperate enough, he doesn't care about the validity of these claims or whatever. He just wants to find something, right? And considering he has literally 300 million plus subscribers, and he comes out and says some person bad, and that information turns out to be false, there is no way these people don't sue MrBeast and win, right? Because that's insane. The damages, the mental damages, not even the reputational damages, just the mental damage. Because again, if only 1% of MrBeast's fan base is a bunch of completely insane rabid individuals, from 300 million, do you know what's 1%? 3 million. That's a lot of people. And statistically, very likely.
Fabricating stories about people is never okay. Personally, I'd like to believe MrBeast is not a part of this and somebody under him is.
I hope he does that. Even if someone under him does it, it's, you know, MrBeast still liable for it because, you know, company owned and all of that good stuff.
Taking it upon themselves to do something sinister, but the fact.
Also, if someone from his company, without his knowledge, even if that's possible, does that, there is no way that doesn't reach MrBeast's ears at this point, especially. That would be impossible and insane.
That she's saying people are being offered money to fabricate stuff is incredibly concerning. Now, before you ask, none of my friends have been contacted yet, all right? And I'd like to keep it that way, all right? I have got lawyers, all right, just in case. We got the squad ready. But personally, I'm just reporting the news and stating my opinion, so not really making any accusations myself, so it should be good. But yeah, hypothetically, if it's true, stay away from my friends and family, bro. That's some supervillain shit. Anyways, moving on to.
Also, just the fact that, okay, let's imagine, for example, he discredits Dogpact as, you know, some kind of fentanyl junkie or something like that. So what? Are the things that he says not true? Have you proven anything untrue about the claims? No, you have just, you know, kind of discredited him in the eyes of the public, but the stuff that has already been said, that doesn't mean it's false. The easiest way to deal with a situation like this is just prove that the fact that the stuff that they are saying is not true. But he kind of doesn't do that, huh?
To Feastables, big disclaimer, this next allegation is super serious, all right? I cannot confirm any of its legitimacy. I encourage everyone to do their own research and come to their own conclusions. That being said, YouTuber Honesty made yet another allegation against MrBeast, saying he's potentially using child labor or slave labor for his chocolate, which is...
Oh, of course, probably. If he's sourcing cacao from Africa, obviously there's slavery involved.
Is incredibly concerning.
Everything in this video is alleged, and the conclusions are my own opinion. Like many other industries, chocolate is notorious for its exploitation of children using child labor and slave labor. They use child labor, forced labor, unsafe conditions.
Good times. Who doesn't love this? You know, it's free real estate.
To farm these cacao beans that eventually makes its way to become chocolates.
Considering MrBeast again, MrBeast is not a good guy. He has never done a single good thing in his life unless there was a camera pointed at him. Obviously, he wouldn't care about this. There is no way that I'm putting any money on that he would care about something like this. No. There is no way you're going to change my opinion on this.
At your table. With that being said, I'm going to try to prove my first point. That MrBeast is using child labor and slave labor for his chocolates today and has been since late 2023. When Feastables first launched in January of 2022, if you went into their FAQ, their frequently asked questions section, they proudly displayed that they were child labor free and slave labor free. As a matter of fact, in April of 2023, they doubled down and they added to their list of main menu options this option that said, "We're slave free. And if you clicked it, it had an entire dedicated page talking about how they were free of slave labor and child labor. But just a few months later, in October of 2023, that main page item that said we're free, that was removed. In addition, in the frequently asked questions section, that stuff about being child labor.
What's the difference between slave labor free and slave free? I don't understand this. Is one just, oh, there's no slaves, and the other one is, oh yeah, there's slaves, but you know, they're not working on the cacao.
Free and slave labor free, that stuff also disappeared. Later in May of 2024,
Hey, times change.
and even to this day, there's no mention whatsoever at all about any kind of ethical sourcing of ingredients. If you're thinking, oh, it's a mistake, or maybe they forgot, I think the chances of this...
Bro, you can't forget. You literally intentionally removed it. There's not a lot of ways you forget to... you accidentally forget to intentionally remove it.
being true are less than 0.001%. You see, MrBeast prides himself on hiring the best of the best, and there is no way marketers would forget to put this kind of information on their website because it would boost their brand favorability in the eyes of consumers. It's likely then that MrBeast is now using child labor and forced labor for Feastables chocolates. This is especially bad because it means that MrBeast and the Feastables team were very aware that child labor and...
Do you think he pays him in half a chocolate bar a month or something like that?
forced labor slavery exists in the chocolate industry, and yet decided to take advantage of the most...
Because when we're actually talking about a lot of this slavery in Africa, it's not... It is sometimes the kind, the classic whip in hand type of stuff, but in a lot of cases, it's not that kind of slavery. It's just the person has no way out of this situation that they're in, and they're effectively a slave for all intents and purposes.
Weak and the vulnerable among us for personal gain. This is a bad look for any company, but it's worse for MrBeast because he puts on these large public displays of being a philanthropist and a role model to young children.
Okay, if all that is true...
Well, again, he's not doing that because he's actually a good person. He's doing that because he just wants to be pretty much revered.
That is absolutely sickening. I don't know how it keeps getting worse. I know there's a meme that there's no good billionaires and stuff, but I'm starting to understand what it actually takes to get uber rich. Somewhere down the line, it seems something sinister happens where you might potentially have to sacrifice morals for more money. And yeah, based on what he said, that is some extremely shady behavior. Removing labels like that is extremely concerning because then you're allowing people to speculate like this and they're gonna assume the worst intentions. Now, honestly goes on to say that
you're not allowing people to speculate about this. You are literally creating a situation that doesn't look good. So in the first place, it was no slave labor, and you were yay, this is good. So you use that for a PR stunt. You say we're doing everything ethically. A year later, everything changes, and yeah. So that either means it was a lie in the first place, or now he doesn't care. Okay, there's not a lot of speculation in there, okay? I give a benefit of doubt of a company that has nothing said about that because they don't even know fully, but this is different.
That in his opinion, MrBeast actually knew about this and planned it this way, which is another insane allegation.
I think MrBeast knew the entire time, since the beginning of Feastables, that he was going to use child labor and slave labor for his chocolates, but he tried to trick us into thinking otherwise. To try and prove my point, I'm going to first talk about the Feastables packaging, and then I'm going to talk about the kosher and halal certifications. When MrBeast first launched Feastables, it was in line with his brand. They were clearly trying to do things ethically. They actually got a certification from the Rainforest Alliance. Once you're certified, you're able to use their logo, which is a little frog, on all of your products, your website, on all of that stuff. When I saw the packaging for Feastables, both old and new, there was no Rainforest Alliance certified logo anywhere. If one day that package has a frog logo on it and the next day it disappears, people will notice. So instead, they decide to only put it on their website because at the end of the day, who the hell reads a website except for weirdos like me? By doing it this way, I think they tried to fool everyone into thinking that their chocolate is still child labor free and slave labor free.
Okay, listen, I'm not gonna speculate on MrBeast's intentions because I don't know what is going on in his head, obviously. But the facts that he presented...
I mean, the fact that this all looks extremely sus is undoubtable.
Of removing those labels and refusing to put that little logo on the chocolate bar. That is some concerning stuff. At this point, MrBeast is gonna have to wait until the end of the earth to respond, because he said he's only gonna respond after all the allegations are made in one final response. So
Damn.
I don't know, more and more keep coming out, man. Now we move on to MrBeast's apology. Basically, you guys remember Jake Weddle. He was the contestant in one of MrBeast's challenges where he had to stay in solitary confinement, and he claimed to basically be tortured, not allowed to sleep because the lights were on the entire time. He was made to run a marathon with no training, lots of brutal stuff, and pressure to stay in the challenge. Now, turns out MrBeast actually reached out to Jake Weddle, apologized, and offered him about $200K as the remaining money that he...
I take it. I take it. I take it. Because the reality is, this is not going to go probably anywhere. MrBeast has too large of an audience that has too little IQ and is too young to care about any of this.
would have won if he completed the challenge. Here's a clip.
He said, hey, I wanted to reach out and say I didn't mean to cause you mental stress with that video, and I apologize. Clearly, it had an effect on you. You mentioned you like to be paid out the rest of the prize money, the other $190,000.
This is effectively a bribe. If you consider this a bribe, that's completely understandable, because that's what it looks like to me also.
And I'd love to make things right with you. I have zero expectation of you mentioning me sending you this money publicly or taking down any videos. This is just me wanting to help you out and make sure you're good. I just need to know if you still have the same bank or not. We'll send you the money on Monday.
Ah, okay, so first of all, by the way, sending the money after all of this is happening is not, again, a good deed. This is just literally trying to make things different. And considering, I saw the full video with this dude. Yeah, that guy definitely seems someone who is gonna make a video about this and saying, well, MrBeast kind of made it right to me. Either though it's arguable, is this making it right or not, that doesn't matter. He's definitely the type of guy to do this. And I like the idea that I have zero expectations of you mentioning this. That's hilarious.
Bank or not. We'll send you the money on Monday. Wish you the best. There was no lawyers around. It wasn't a spectacle. There was no camera in my face. I respected that. That's how I would have wanted it to go down. But
This is the outcome I would expect by sending him this money, by the way. This is a pretty solid shot. And I would not be surprised if other people get the similar type of treatment, because, again, this is most likely a bribe.
I couldn't take it.
I
couldn't take 100. I just couldn't take it. Because
that's a dumb move. I would take it.
It's still a mechanism of the game. It's still like the rest of the prize money, and that's not what it was about. Would you like $190,000? Oh, that's the thing. I know. I don't want you to think that you got to take any videos down. I don't want you to think you're. You don't have to post anything, because I don't want it to.
But I heard that he took $50K or something like that, didn't he? That's strange. Interesting.
Look like I'm buying you out, or you're being silent. I want you to keep doing what you're doing. This is just for me to you to make things right. I respect that. I appreciate that. But you know how it looks, for you to give me this cash that I desperately need, right? I want my audience to trust me here. I want to remain credible. Yeah, totally. So I can. You don't even like post about it. Don't worry about it. Just take this cash. I just don't counter offer. 50. You save $140,000.
So he did take. Dude, again, you just lost $140K. Okay.
Just give me 50.
I would already be looking for a shallow pond to get rid of myself in the most humiliating way possible, because that's what I deserve.
50.
Okay, it's good that MrBeast is trying to make things right. Now, some would say it's a PR move and he knew that Jake would talk about it. But regardless, that is the least he could do, is to compensate Jake and issue an apology. As for Jake, he accepted only $50K of that money and he denied the rest, claiming that he wants to make his own money from now on. Now, that's completely fine, but one thing I didn't like about...
I mean, $50K is still, what, like 1 year's of work for the average American? That's insane. That's multiple years of work for the average my country.
Jake Weddle's presentation here is his title and thumbnail. It says, "I caught Jimmy in a secret recording," and the video starts off with a fake AI video of MrBeast talking.
That's right. I got that sent to me, and you know what? That was AI. Yeah, that was AI.
And he knew this recording was fake as well, so it's just a weird thing to do. I really encourage anyone who comes out with a MrBeast story to be more careful about what you say or do, because genuine advice, you can lose public favor very quickly. Now, moving on to a guy called Ty Orr. This guy made 2 videos on MrBeast calling him a thief and a liar. Basically, this is someone who is trying to be on MrBeast's idea team. He claims that MrBeast stole his idea and did not pay him for it. Now, the idea in question is the sort of floating platforms for a challenge video, and then you got a bunch of obstacles, similar to the game Fall Guys. Now, is it a unique idea? Personally, I think it's plausible that someone from the MrBeast team also came up with that, and it's also plausible that they didn't and they actually did steal Ty's idea. Now, MrBeast team responded with a message showing that they already had a similar idea, so take that as you will. Now, I feel like if you have someone...
Oh, look at that. That's so interesting. Mr. Beast actually responds with proving an allegation wrong when he can. Very interesting indeed.
Apply for a job and go physically to your location and do some work, I feel like you should compensate them just a little, even if they didn't actually get the job or do a good job. But the problem is Ty Orr's intentions are in question now, because initially when he uploaded the video, he linked a GoFundMe for $1.7 million. He has since taken it down.
1.7, that's a lot.
After severe backlash and apologized in a comment refunding the money. Last I checked, despite getting 2.5 million views, he only got like 20 donors and about $400. Maybe more, I don't know, but this is not a noble move.
Hey, that's the average conversion rate.
This is the bare minimum after pulling a stunt like that. There is no reason the public needs to pay you 1.7 million for an idea that is ridiculous. Even if MrBeast wants to compensate you, an idea like that, which is literally just Fall Guys the game, let's be honest, is worth maybe $1,000, maximum like super generous $50,000 for that idea. And you should ask that compensation from MrBeast, not the general public who is already struggling to get by. Now, in his second video, he alleges that MrBeast just gets free labor from people by asking them to apply for a non-existent job, which again, I can't confirm, but he says he won't apologize for the GoFundMe anymore, but he already said sorry in a comment. I don't know. I feel for him if it's true, but I can't excuse clown behavior, all right? Now, moving on to MrBeast's girlfriend, half the things that are said are not true. I wouldn't be with him if they were. MrBeast's girlfriend defends the YouTuber following the recent...
Wait, is that the current girlfriend?
...allegations. Now, people are memeing...
Also, okay, listen, do you want to know the darkest black pill I have about women? As long as you entertain, you know, do all of those things, take her out to expensive places, travel, entertain her, you could probably beat her, you know, at least like once a month, and she's gonna be completely fine because hashtag living my best life or some bullshit like that, okay? Women are wild, okay? There was recently this story about some kind of famous football player or some kind of famous sports guy whose wife divorced him literally because he was too nice, okay? There's no winning with women, okay? This woman could lie and say whatever she feels like just because MrBeast gives her chocolate every time she wakes up or something, okay? Wild is wild, and women are the wildest.
This response saying, wait, what does she mean by half? Half, and we got Walter White with a cell phone. Only half. The smile
Also, yeah, half
of an empty vessel. All right, so basically it's too vague to actually say anything. His ex-girlfriend came out too, saying that she's been silent for years and vaguely saying that we need to protect women from people like that. She doesn't actually mention Jimmy's name, but take that as you will.
I mean, you just draw the obvious conclusions here, right?
Now, moving on, Rosanna also posted a video about MrBeast's leaked document, which showcases some of his work culture.
On to page 17, own your mistakes. This coming from Jimmy, someone who has never owned his mistakes, never taken accountability, and never apologized for any of his poor behavior. I hate excuses and despise with my entire soul when people just try to save face instead of learn from how they've messed up. Pull all-nighters weeks before the shoot, so you don't have to days before the shoot. If you planned with adequate time, preparation, and staff, your staff wouldn't have to be doing all-nighters. Never do anything that can make us look bad from a PR perspective.
That's an obvious one that I fully believe.
We don't fake things. The absolute delusion. Yes,
Okay.
you do, Jimmy. You pick the best company.
By the way, Husky StarCraft literally just randomly got to wipe her up and bang her. That's just so wild. And now she's the breadwinner and he's just living... Bruh. Wild stuff if you know what this is.
In America to do it at. The delusion. I would love to see the benefits of the best company in America. From what I'm hearing, you don't even like people taking holidays off, such as Christmas. This sounds like the worst company
It's overrated anyway. Santa's not real, Buttercup, okay? Suck it up.
to work for in America to me. This isn't a stepping stone. This is your final destination.
You would think that MrBeast actually paid someone to write something like this, but it
Also, it's kind of hilarious that he doesn't like people that try to evade their mistakes and save face, considering how many people have come out and said, "Oh yeah, if you float inside of Jimmy, you know, then you're gonna get bonuses and all of that good stuff. You're gonna be in the inner circle effectively." That's wild.
really sounds like he wrote it in his voice here, which is kind of funny. It really depends how he implements these rules and how strictly he follows these guidelines. Like, is he actually working people to the bone? But let me know what you guys
Probably. I would assume it's not really hard for MrBeast to create a situation like that.
think in the comments.
Anyway, that was it. More Pegasus. 10 out of 10. Bye.